Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Developer Small Talk. And I'm trying to learn Emacs. And it's quite a journey so far. And we so far recorded one episode. And with me is my friend Mudit. Hello, Mudit.
Hello.
And then the last episode, I made my first steps installing Emacs, making some first commands, learning about buffers, looking on this very fancy UI. And today we want to talk about org mode. So Mudit and I are excited. And Mudit, what is org mode?
Man, that question always catches me off guard, to be very honest, because I've actually never looked at the definition, but like the way that I would say it's basically like a plain text on steroids. You know, it's like a plain text system that lets you do like a plethora of things. You can keep notes. You can maintain to-do lists. You can plan projects. Some people use it to track their, like as freelancers, they use it to track their time across projects. Some people author books in it. Some people author websites. It's a very, very extendable plain text system.
Okay. So plain text on steroids. That's very interesting to me because when I talk to people about Emacs, they're always like, org mode. And I'm like, okay, I don't get it. What is it? So how can we get started with org mode?
Right. So I was thinking that we try and kill two birds with one stone today. Right. So
I'm always up for that.
So I was thinking we see the to-do list. I mean, like the to-do system, the basics of it inside of the org mode. And we also, at the same time, set up a tiny init file for your Emacs, which we'll use which we'll grow basically in the further episodes. If there are any, just assuming, but yeah, no.
We can do more.
Okay, perfect. So what I was thinking is we start off directly with the to-dos.
Okay.
Yeah. So an org mode file is a file that basically ends in the .org extension. So how about we create one called todos.org?
All right. So that was Control X and Control B?
F.
Right.
Yeah, find file. Yeah, correct.
So projects, I've already created a folder or directory. And todos.org. So for the people that just jumping in here, so right now I'm typing here in the below line and I'm removing.
Yeah, it's in the mini buffer there.
All right, in the mini buffer. So this now created a file, which opened a new buffer.
Yep. And if we remember from the previous episode, if we look at the mode line, it tells you org, so the org mode is enabled. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. So the text that you enter in org mode is markup. It's very equivalent to, you're basically marking up text using different symbols. It's very
like this.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a very close equivalent of Markdown. Instead of hashes or hashes, we use stars. So a star is a heading of level 1. Yeah, exactly. And also you have other things as italics. You can try the ones that you're used to, the underscore, whatever underscore. Oh, it's underlined. Okay, I don't think that's underlined. I'm pretty sure actually that's underscore. Anyway, I'm gonna look that up because I can never remember these things.
Okay.
But we can basically do these sort of things inside of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that is star is bold, I guess, at this point.
Yeah. Semantics.
Yeah, and so what we're gonna do inside of this is we're gonna make a tiny to-do list.
Okay.
Right. So right, you basically start off a list like you did with the headline, yeah, and you just put a word to do before it, capital to do, TODO. Yeah, you see how it gets colored differently?
Okay.
And you can start typing what your to-do item is. So we're gonna create a to-do list to set up a tiny init file, right? Yeah, that one's gonna go on for a while. So if you go back
forever.
If you go back to the previous line, to the end of the previous line,
which is Control
E.
Yeah.
Yeah, end. And if you press Option Shift Enter, so
sweet,
it creates the next item. Yeah. And if you keep Option pressed and you move left and right, on any item, it nests it. So it increased the level of nesting, right? So what we're going to do is this. So the first to-do item that you have, let's remove the fact that it's a to-do and let's make it a heading, right? So let's give a bit of structure to like a theme to this. So the goal of that first one, or the goal of this to-do list, is to create an init file. So how about we put that as the heading in the first item?
Whoa. Okay. So create init file.
Yeah, create init file, and we're going to do something. Go back to the end of the line, hit space, and inside square brackets, just put a /. Yeah, we're going to come back to this in a second. Now, the second item, let's nest it one level below. So it was option right, and it should pull it in. There we go. So the first thing is create init.el. So we're going to create this file called init.el. Right? And let's take the second to-do item, pull that one in as well. And inside of this, we're going to say, let's say create, I don't know, setup emacs.org. Like it's our own file. Yeah. And the third final one will be, let's pull that one in as well. Hook setup emacs.org, or rather call setup emacs.org from init.el.
Emacs.org.
Yeah, it's just a random file name. Yeah. Okay. Also, can you press meta X? So we don't have line numbers on the left side, right? Let's enable some line numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, if you type in global dash line LIN, and then could you tab complete? There we go. Do you hit enter on that? Bam.
Nice.
Cool. So we have some lines. Now, if you go to line 2 at the end of it, line number 2.
We repeat what we just did. We did to enable lines.
Right. So we did meta X, which is the same as Command Shift P in VS Code.
Right.
And we invoke the built-in command, or we enable the minor mode, if you remember from last time.
Yeah.
So we enable the minor mode that shows lines in the left side, line numbers on the left side, right?
Cool.
So if you go to line number 2, at the end of line number 2, and if you hit controls at the end of it, like after that bracket, if you hit Control C,
what did just happen?
So every time
I see what happened, but what?
Yeah. So there are these I don't actually know what these are called, but there are these different functionalities that you can invoke using different things such as this. So this one, what it does is it shows you progress.
Okay.
And what Control C does, actually, let's check what it does. So if you hit Control G a few times, because you have like the thing enabled underneath, cool. And let's do you remember how to get help on the key binding?
No, I forgot.
It's fine. It's fine. So Control H followed by K. And if you do Control C,
like this, Control H followed by
and Control C.
Like
yeah.
Aha. Interesting. Okay, so I really typed I pressed Control C. Okay.
Yeah. You can just exactly. You just type in the command that you're used to.
Okay.
Or
Control
that you're
C
looking
runs
for.
the org.
Right. It's a bit weird, right?
Yeah.
But what it's trying to tell us is this is a context-aware command.
Yeah.
So based on the context that you're on, it does something.
Okay, so this is one of these things that I just try and see if it does something.
Yeah. So like, for example, if you're near a code block, you can actually hit Control C, and it'll execute the code block for you. And it can do a lot of weird things. It can do a lot of things depending on where you use it. But the reason that we used it there is now we can keep track of how we're doing. Right?
Okay. Yeah,
cool.
Makes sense.
So let's save that file.
Which is
Control X. You need
X, Control S.
Yeah.
Saved.
Bam.
Cool.
Also, let's maximize that file again, if you remember.
Where it was something with a 1.
Yeah, you are correct. It's Control X 1.
Sweet.
Bam. So can you hit Control G a few times? If you remember, that's our escape command, right? It kind of quits whatever we were doing.
Does the G stand for something?
I don't think so. At least I don't know.
Just a random letter on the keyboard? Yeah, makes sense.
I think
maybe
so.
all the other keys are just with the real function.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some sort of a reason behind it. I'm just not aware what it is.
Yeah, so, I'm not making a stupid joke with a word with G now or something.
No. Right. So let's start doing each one of these items. So how about you put the item on line number 4 in progress? So you go there. You don't have to go on the thing. You just need to be on the item anywhere, and you can press Shift and the right arrow key. So it has, you have to do and done. Cool. So we don't have an in progress mode. This is good. We get to add it to this file.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. So there are 2 ways to do this. One, you can modify how the org mode works, and you can add custom to-do stages to it, or you can specify it particularly for this file.
Yeah, let's go with this one.
Yeah, so I need to look that up because I don't remember the syntax.
Okay.
So the org files have this equivalent of like a pragma, which like at the top of the file you can define a bunch of settings, and it applies only to this file. Right?
It's a little bit like global linting rules for JavaScript files or something.
Exactly that. Yeah. Just give me a second. Org mode custom to-do states file.
But you're Googling this right now. You're not using the Emacs help, are you?
I'm not using the Emacs help. I'm Googling this because I've set it up differently. I've set it up inside my init file because I don't want it specifically for one file. I want it globally for all my to-do files. And it's the one that I have is a bit more.
Well, we can do that too.
Actually, this is easier because we can see like everything is self-contained within the file. And that I think it helps, like this file could be something that you could go back to see how we did particular things.
Okay.
At least in terms of concepts, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to send you a link. I'm just checking something as well. Okay. Let's see. Let's send you this link. Right. So you see these weird things that it has? These are the pragmas. So what this says, if we just read through it, it says that you need to start off on column 0. So like anywhere in the file, you can specify this. Usually you specify it at the top. And what this lets you do is it tells you the different states you can be.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at one of the things it says to do pipe done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the one that we like. If you see bottom, like if you think it's a bit more lower, yeah, that one, the first one in that group, that's what we have right now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's add the first one up top, and we'll add progress to it.
I would try it now like this.
Right. So no. So what we're going to do is the pipe stands for things that can be in parallel. Now, what that means is you can have to do. From to do, you can go to in progress. So we don't need the pipe because right after to do, we can get in progress. Right. You don't even need the underscore if you want. You can just say in progress.
I think that is readable.
Okay. And after in progress, you can go to done.
Okay. So that means.
So we still need to execute that line up top. If you go to the end of it and press Control C, local setup has been refreshed.
Oh, where did you read that?
It's in your mode line. So always read in your mode line what happens.
Control C. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So we have to do in progress done.
Yeah.
Cool. We can even change the colors for all of these things and whatnot. A lot of things are possible. Yeah.
Okay.
But for
yeah,
now, let's
that
just
works for me. Yeah.
Cool. So now we have in progress thread, which means we need to actually start doing this work. So let's create a file, init.el. So this is a special file. It's something that Emacs, when it boots up, it looks for it, and whatever is inside of it, it runs it. It's equivalent to bash profile or bash rc or zshrc, so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. And where should this file live?
It should be inside your .emacs.d folder, which should be in your home directory.
Emacs.
Yeah.
Init.l.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm going to send you the content that you need to put in this. I'm going to talk to you about this content once you put it in there.
Cool.
So this is a bit of eLisp. And,
okay.
Right?
Not scared at all.
You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be at all. If you save this file. So what this says is we are requiring the org mode, which is equivalent to import in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Right. So we've required it. And then we are saying given an org file, which is located in the user Emacs directory, which is the one that we are in, .emacs.d.
Mm-hmm.
Look for a file name called setupemacs.org. Expand the file name with this directory in context, which means give me the absolute path, and load it using org.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is the core idea of this is we're going to look at using org mode both as the to-do list that we were looking at and also do some literate programming inside of it.
Cool.
Yeah. So can you split the window for me into two?
No.
Oh, Control X2.
Control X2.
Okay, that's below. I meant Control X3. Sorry.
Control X3.
Bam. And if you go to the one below and you remember how to minimize it, right? Control X0. Yeah. Bam. Oh, you did one on the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Can you open the so in any one of these windows, let's bring back the to-do list. So the way that we do that is we looked at, you don't have to manually open it again. The buffer's open. You can Control G from there. Let's look at a command from last time.
Yeah.
So you can just so we want to see not the full buffer list, but we want to just open like a tiny buffer thing inside of the mini buffer and just choose the one that was already open, which was the to-do list. That was very wordy, I get it. So instead, let's just do it. If you do Control XB,
Control XB.
So it's telling you which buffer to switch to. And if you hit enter, so basically all these buffers are still open, right? You never closed it. So it's equivalent to having a file open and you just want to switch to it. So now this window has switched to the buffer that you already had open, which was a to-do one. Yeah, you can keep switching to these different ones. There we go.
Is there a shortcut to switch, like something like Control Tab or something?
Oh, you can do Control X left and right.
Control X. Interesting. Okay, that is a good learning.
Yeah.
Can I do this too?
It's a fairly helpful one. So let's mark the first one as done.
Wasn't it Shift?
You don't even have, let's try a different key binding. No, you did Option and it pulled it in. So Shift left and right will change the thing, but let's look at another one. Can you do Control C, Control T?
Control C, Control K?
T.
T. Control C, Control T.
You were already starting off a different command, so you have to Control G a bit.
Oh, no, it was something else.
Just undo it. Like,
I did Control Z.
Let's undo the thing on that line, yeah, which was Control /. Bam. And let's so if you move up, actually you need to redo something now because you changed the state back, right? Do Control / again. There we go. So the undo system in Emacs is very interesting in the sense that the undo system is the redo system. So undo.
What?
Yeah. So say you do an action X followed by action Y,
Yeah.
and you want to undo it, you do control /,
Yeah.
right? So you're back to X. So your pointer is back to X.
Yeah.
Now, if you move anywhere else, and if you do control / again, in your history, it's going to move you back forward to the It's going to move you forward to the Y. It's the weird thing. You kind of get used to it over time. I don't have like a proper mental model as to why that happens, but it does.
Okay, I didn't get that. So I have 9 numbers here, yeah?
Okay.
I delete now the 9 and I do control /, which makes sense. Now when I do this and I do control /, which makes sense.
Yeah. Now move up somewhere.
Oh.
Just move, you can do some action. Now do control /.
Control /.
And keep doing it. You see that? It's cycling through the thing.
Ah, that's a little bit different than usual.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cycle. Which means whenever you forget, like whenever you want to redo an action, all you have to do is like move your cursor up once and then do like command / control / again. And it'll read.
That's actually more logical because you don't use history, isn't it?
Exactly.
Because in VS Code or something, I go back 100 times and then I have the whole file in my thing.
Yeah.
In the clipboard so that I don't lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. So here you kind of like don't have that fear after a while.
But that's cool. That's maybe how it should be.
I agree. I agree very much. Cool. So where were we? Can you control G again, please?
Because we have something on
I see tags. Yeah, I see tags randomly showing up there. So just give me 1 second.
But it keeps showing up. I pressed Command G a lot of times, but it keeps showing up.
Yeah, I think it's bugging out for some reason.
Okay.
But yeah, there you go. It should be gone now. Yes, it's gone.
Okay.
So let's just move that to done. You remember the shift and forward key, shift right. Cool.
Done.
Did you notice
we created the file.
Yeah, did you notice something happened to the heading?
Sweet.
Cool. Right, so we're going to create a file. So if you see the file name there, we have named it setup-emacs.org.
Yeah.
Right? Let's create a file in the same directory as to-do. So first, you might want to save your to-do list.
Control X, Control S, then Control X, Control F.
Yeah. Let's actually, go for it. Let's create the file. It was setup-emacs. You need to create it. Oh, you need to create it in the same emacs.d directory. The reason for that is because the way we have set up init file, if you notice, we have said user Emacs directory. So it's going to look for it over there.
You're saying here, right?
Yeah.
We're in React right now creating this file.
Exactly.
Got it.
Go for it.
Boom.
Okay, let's bring back. So can you go to the window on the left? And let's split
Clicking
it
like a boss here.
Yeah, click away. Let's split it horizontally. So let's put a split underneath it, which was Control X2. And the reason that I'm saying this is what I love about Emacs, man. Like you can have arbitrary splits which give you all the context that you need. So in the split below, let's open our to-do list.
So first I would do Control X3.
No, you don't have to do Control X3. You already have the window there, right? So you can close.
You say in this window. Okay, how did I close that again?
Control X0.
Sweet. So and here we do, what was the Control Shift?
You can either do Control XB or you can do Control X left and right till you find your buffer.
Here we go.
Cool. So let's put the second to do in progress. Right. Lovely. And let's create the other file. Let's start typing some stuff in. So what we are going to do, I'm thinking. So what do you want to set up? Let's see. Shall we just clean up the UI, for example?
Yeah, please. It looks very good.
Okay. So this is something that, can you go back to the setup Emacs file, the setup-emacs.org?
So what is Control X B?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Cool. So let's make our first heading. Let's just like with a star, and let's call it cleanup UI. Yeah. And what we're going to do now is if you hit tab, so it indents it properly, and we're going to create a code block inside of it. So let's actually add let's actually create another item like a subheading inside of this. So 2 stars. Do you want to do that? No, you don't have to indent it. Also, if you go back to the end of line 1,
Control E.
And if you hit Control Enter, you see it creates these, and you can always pull them left and right using Option.
That's what I forgot already. Okay, so
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, these commands you kind of like they get committed to muscle memory fairly quickly. I mean, the way that I look at it is just pulling things in directions.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's. So this is what I meant by literate programming, which is we're going to write what we are doing, what our code does, and then instead of writing it as a comment, right? So documentation is first class.
Okay.
So is the code, right? So let's write. Let's say we're going to disable the menu bar.
Yeah.
Menu bar. Do you say menu or menu? I never know.
I say menu. I'm not a native English speaker. So.
Me neither. Disable menu bar. Okay, cool. Now, let's hit enter and then tab again so that it indents properly. And now we're going to add like a tiny bit of code, right? And the way that we do it is we're going to use equivalent of a code snippet inside of VS Code, which kind of expands out. And this is built in, so we don't have to like remember this, right?
Okay.
So what we do is we use the lesser than sign followed by an S, and then you hit tab. Right? So what this says is we're starting a code block, but we have to tell Emacs what kind of code it is. And we're going to write some Emacs Lisp, right? So if we go to the end of line 3, and we write Emacs dash Lisp.
Okay.
Cool. And now if you go
inside... Could I for the future do this?
Yeah, you could. Yeah. You not even for the future. If you do it right now, it will work as well. But we are going to write our code in Emacs Lisp.
Okay.
Lisp.
Because I couldn't configure Emacs with JavaScript, could I?
I don't think so, no. Okay. Because Emacs understands eLisp. So line 3, it's Lisp with a P, not a T. Right? Cool. So now we're going to write a tiny bit of code here. And this is the thing that I really like about org mode. We don't have to type it in the context of org mode. We've told org that this is Emacs Lisp. And we can ask org mode to give us a tiny buffer, which is actually in Emacs Lisp mode, so that all our things work inside of it.
Okay.
The way that you do that is Control C apostrophe. You see that thing on the right side? That's your, and if you see the mode, it says Emacs Lisp mode.
Okay, so here we see the mode.
Yeah. And this is, so what
this is now a buffer that works in the middle here?
Yep.
Come on, this is blowing my mind right now.
Okay. So what we're going to type in there is in parentheses, we're going to type menu dash bar dash mode -1.
Okay.
Yeah. And it says that to then exit, you again do Control C apostrophe. So it's inserted it there.
Why couldn't I just write it like this in here?
You could. The reason that I said specifically, like, you don't have to for this trivial bit of code, but if you're writing like a somewhat large bit of Emacs Lisp, and you want access to tooling, the Emacs Lisp tooling that you might have, like, for example, I have linting enabled, I have support for documentation enabled, I can jump around in different parts of the code. I can't do that from here.
Because this is an org mode file.
Exactly. So when I open it in that, all my tooling becomes available.
Interesting. So, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes it easier for me to author in the language that I want because I have all the tooling available.
What was that? Control C and apostrophe.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So this is the first one. Let's make a second. So if you go to line 5, end of it, and if you hit Control Enter, Bam. So let's do the next one. The next one's going to be, let's disable the toolbar, like this Notepad++ kind of stuff that neither of us likes.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to tab again, so the indentation happens. No, this won't auto indent. So let's undo it.
So it has to be indented, yeah.
It doesn't have to be. I think I'm being a bit of a. It doesn't have to be. I don't know why I'm actually doing that, but yeah.
Okay, and then
it just looks better, to be honest.
Yeah. Completely. What was it? Control
C.
Control C.
Yeah, and then apostrophe. A lot of the key bindings that you have in org mode, I think most of them, they all start with Control C.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we're going to do the same command as before, but instead of menu bar mode, we're going to say, yeah, exactly.
-1 too?
Yeah. So -1, what it does is it says the way these functions are written in eLisp is if they receive any non-positive value, they disable something usually.
Yeah, I mean that's intuitive, sorta.
It's intuitive, sorta.
Index of returns -1 too, right?
Yeah, this is true. Cool. So for now,
how do I load this part now?
We will in a second. So if you save this file,
Control X, Control S.
Perfect. And if you go to your to-do file,
yeah. How could I switch between the buffers now with my keyboard? I keep clicking. I should stop doing that.
So you can do that using Control X O, the letter O.
Okay.
But now that we have this init file, once we see the plumbing works, we can start installing some modes that let you use certain key bindings. Like for example, on my Emacs setup, I used command left, right, up, down to switch to different buffers. So that's much easier.
That is what I expect because it's like an iTerm and everywhere else. Yeah, cool.
Exactly. So we can set that up. It's very, very trivial.
Nice.
So let's mark the to-do item as done. Cool. And the next one we've already finished as well because we set up the thing inside of init.el already. So let's mark this one as done as well.
Let's just do like this. So
yeah.
True.
Actually, let's try something. Can you just undo again for a second till you have the capital S? Right. So if you go on S, the letter S, and if you press Meta L, so you have these different commands that are built in to capitalize, to make something lowercase, to make the whole thing uppercase. And you can do it in any direction. You can go backwards. So if you do meta -1 -L, it'll work backwards. Or meta -1 C. Meta minus C. Okay, I'm messing this up as well. Give me a second.
Wait, I do.
Yeah, so you do meta. Yeah, okay. So let's do. Let's actually go to the end of the word Emacs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then do meta minus, and then keep meta pressed. Meta minus meta C. Or meta L, sorry.
So I capitalized this buddy now.
Yeah, you went forward.
So if you meta,
and then the hyphen key, and then meta L. So it should go backwards, and there we go. Right. So
how do I find the documentation for that?
The same thing that we always do. You can do Control H, K.
So Control H, Control K.
No, Control H, K.
Control H, K.
Yeah, and then meta L.
Meta L.
There you go.
ML ransom calculate. It is the help is very cool. So it's Control H,
K.
K.
Yeah.
Help. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Let's close that buffer. And just press Q. Bam. Cool. Let's mark the last to-do item as done as well, since we got it done as a part of the first one.
Yeah.
Sweet. Everything looks green. This is grand. Let's save this.
Control X, Control S.
Right, and let's quit Emacs. And we restart.
Let's quit Emacs.
Cool. How about you restart it?
Woohoo!
Do you notice some things have disappeared?
Yeah, this body disappeared.
Yeah. And that all happened. So what happened was it looked at init.el first. So if you can you open init.el?
Yeah, so it looked up the setups Emacs org file.
Yeah.
So we will now do Control X to. Oh no, that works too. So we can do this. So we have a look here. Setups org.
Yeah, and if you press tab, that's how you collapse things. So if you keep pressing tab on it, if you go right up to the top, if you go to the first one and keep pressing tab.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is that the same for the other file that we wrote in org mode?
Yeah, this is a thing that's specific to the org mode. So the thing is, we are defining nesting, right? We are defining nesting with these stars, these preceding stars.
Yeah.
Right. So based on that, it does code folding. So see, it's all collapsed by default. So you go on the there we go.
Interesting.
Right. And now, I mean, so what we've done is we've seen the basics of to-do. We've set up our own custom states. We have also set up, we've also written some documentation. Alongside that, we've written some code. And we have used all of this. So this is basically your init file now, setupemacs.org, which you can always look at and you can understand exactly what's happening without having to try and understand the code. You've left yourself documentation in as a first class member. And this is basically the thing around literate programming.
That's super cool.
Let's try something else. So what we've done up until now is we have authored org files and we have consumed them as org files. Now, one of the reasons why people love the org mode is it's a markup. It's a type of markup which can be used to generate different types of files. So we can generate HTML from this file. We can generate a PDF. We can generate whatever kind of plugins we have out there from this file.
Okay.
Because there's a process of exporting, is what it's called. So you can export things from the org format to any other format, and you can install.
Because there are plugins written that do that for me.
Yes.
Like Markdown renderer or something.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
So let's try one of them. I'm going to check because I've changed all my key bindings. I'm going to check what it actually is. Org export. Oh, I haven't changed it. So let's go to the to-do. Let's go to the setupemacs.org actually. And so if you remember, I told you almost all commands in org mode start with Control C.
Yeah.
And export is E. So it'll be Control C, Control E. So you get all of these things on the right that are built in. So let's try the HTML one. So what the way you read this is it says if you want to export HTML as a file and open, you press H followed by O. That's how you read it.
But I do that right now, or should I do some control?
No, nothing. You can just type H and then followed by O. And wait for it. Please install. So it says something down there, right? Please install HTMLize. Blah blah blah. So we can install that at a later point. Let's see if there are any other modes that we can, or any other export targets that we can use by default.
Yeah. So it was Control C, Control E.
iCalendar, LaTeX. I like some of these. So do you want to try something random?
Sure.
Let's try export to plaintext. and let's do a UTF-8 buffer. That's a capital U. So that's what it's rendered for you in the top right corner.
So just formatted it a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, our code or the file that we're looking at is set up Emacs. It's fairly simple. Yeah. This is what has come out of it. If you want, I can send you an example of one of my files that are rendered and available online. Do you think that'll help?
Oh, I think that makes sense. I mean, these are just wait. So it was Control C, Control E.
Mm-hmm.
These are all custom renderers. Yeah, I got that.
So not only can you render from here, you can also do publishing, and I haven't really used it, so I don't really know what actually goes into it. But yeah, you can also export to iCalendar, which means you can do calendar management from within here.
Yeah. Does this list get longer when I install more plugins, or is that?
It does. It does. It does.
That is cool.
Right. So let's do one other cool thing. And we, if you press Q, and it should help you exit this. So, and yeah, you can close that one as well. The org ASCII export, it shouldn't really. Cool. Let's add. I'm trying to think. Okay, so let's add another to-do item. So let's go to your todo.org. Mm-hmm. So we've already finished this one. Let's create another heading for an experiment or whatever you want to call it. Right, and let's create a to-do inside of it. So if you hit Command Option Shift Enter from the first line, it'll create a to-do for you. Option Shift. Yeah.
Now it was.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's. Can you enter something here? Anything really? Doesn't matter. Okay. So now let's schedule this to-do so that it shows up on your agenda. Right.
No, just tapping random stuff.
Yeah, I would say like you can delete that. You don't need that. What you do on that line is you press Control C, Control S, and you get a tiny header. And if you notice, like I can't see your mini buffer, so I don't really know what's happening. But you can move around, so you can put any time. So for example, what time is it right now? It's 9:20, I think, in the evening. You can let's just say I don't know, 2200 today, 22:00.
But where should I put that?
The cursor's already there. Start typing, and it'll show you where. There we go.
Okay.
Right, and if you hit enter, it's actually scheduled it for you.
Interesting.
Right? So if you save this. And and then if you do meta x, org dash agenda, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of org stuff. Yeah. And if you press A, which is the agenda for the current week or day, you see, wait, today is what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Can you press tab on it? Does it do anything? No, right?
No.
Okay, so what we have to do, so this is the view where once you tell Emacs and you tell org mode that use the to-do file that we have made to also show me my agenda. So it'll pick items from your to-do files that you give it, and it'll put it on your agenda for you. So
but Emacs right now doesn't know that we want to use todos.org.
Exactly. So we're going to tell it. And how we're going to tell it, I have to check it up. I don't remember. Give me 1 second. See, this is the thing about like a good programming model. Like once you set it up, you can very comfortably forget how you set it up.
Yeah.
I set all of this up in one night, and since then I've just been using it and it works perfectly. Cool. Oh, this is okay. I like this. So we're gonna try doing something fun. So another thing inside of Emacs is usually all the behavior is controlled via variables. It's a lot of global state and a lot of different variables that are available to you. And if you set them to particular values, certain things will change. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So let's exit this buffer super quick. And you can press Q here as well. And Q again. Bam. So we're going to run a bit of elisp inside your mini buffer, which will set a particular variable. Okay.
Okay. So we do
actually no. Let's do this. Let's open your setup Emacs and let's hard code this inside of it.
Control F. How could I flip? No, it was Control X, Control B. Ah, here we go.
Bam, and just hit enter. Right. So let's create another section inside of this file called I don't know, setup org mode or just org mode. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you choose. And let's make that a heading, the first level heading, right? Because we want everything nested inside of this.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you hit Control Enter after it, it should create the next item for you. The reason that I keep saying that Control Enter instead of Option Shift Enter. The reason that I'm saying that is so that these you get used to these bindings. Yeah. And let's do Option Right to pull it in. Right. Yeah. And let's say, I mean, let's use the literate programming model again. So what we're going to do, and you can choose whatever heading you want for this, is we're going to set up org agenda files. Schnitz, that works as well. Org agenda files. Cool. And how about you open an Emacs code block inside of it?
And this was this tab. But we want to indent. Oh.
Yeah, that's why indentation.
How do I indent that now? Because I can't press tab here.
Yeah, I mean, I usually delete it and then indent and start again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Emacs Lisp is our mode inside of it.
Control E for the last line, Emacs Lisp. And here we do Control X apostrophe? No.
Control C. It's all Control C mostly in setup in org mode. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to send you a tiny command. It's not the full command. I want you to add your own the path to the file name to it. Yeah. Path to your file name here.
So, all right. So paste that here.
And the to-do file path.
Projects. Stefan learns Emacs to-dos work.
Yeah. You know, the cool thing is if you don't specify the file name and if you just give a directory, it'll pick up all the .org files inside of it.
Let's just check if that works.
What just happened?
I'm just checking if that... I could do that in Emacs, I know, but... Project Stefan learns Emacs, and what is in here?
So these are all the temporary... You see those other hash and all of these files, that's because you haven't saved it. So those are all the temporary files. So if Emacs crashes, you can recover where you were.
So when I save... Okay, let's check that later. So I close this now, which is Control C apostrophe. Cool.
Yeah. And let's save this file.
Which is Control S. I wrote that. Now we restart Emacs? So
no, we don't have to restart it. So let's actually do pull in our changes without restarting it. So there are two ways we can do this. One, we can tell Emacs reload the init file. Right? But why do all of that when all we have to do is run this one line of code that we just added? So let's go to the end of this line. And if you remember last time, we did a lot of code evaluation. We evaluated a lot of tiny bits of code to do things. Yeah. Right? Let's evaluate this line. You remember how?
No, I don't remember.
That's fine. That's fine. Control X and then Control E. So you see the thing in the mini buffer, it says that the variable has been set.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's open org agenda again, which was meta X and then org agenda. By the way, for all of this, we can set up key bindings. I know it feels fairly manual typing things in. If you press A, do you see something there?
Interesting.
How about you go to that line and you try your normal commands like shift, left, right, or whatever. So you're moving the dates backwards and forwards, you see? So now you've scheduled it for the 7th. If you hit Control X, Control S, it'll automatically save all the org buffers that are connected to this.
And it will update when I open it again?
Just do Control X, Control S. Let's see what happens. Oh, you saved it? Okay, now press G. So G is a refresh. You have to it doesn't really listen for events. You have to ask it to refresh itself. You could set it up, but it's pointless usually,
Okay, just to make sure I got this. This here is Emacs org mode functionality that displays me some data based on files.
Yeah.
But it has some commands to edit the files.
Try clicking it. Can you click it? No? How about you go on the line and press enter instead? And do Control X B and press enter again.
Control X, Control B.
No, just Control X B, not Control X, Control B.
Control X B.
Enter.
Switch to buffer. Right.
So you can switch back and forth very quickly between things. And here, how about you do, can you go back to the buffer? Can you do Control C, Control T?
Control C, no, Control T.
You see it's changing through statuses.
Nice. Man, that's so many keys.
Yeah. But the good thing about org mode, which I can't say about Emacs in general, is org mode has a beautiful set of tutorials. Beautiful. It's amazing to read. I mean, to be honest, I'd never used org mode before until a few months ago. And I took one night where I spent, I think, about 4 or 5 hours just trying to ramp up on things about it. And it was that quick because there's just some really, really good tutorials written for it. And you don't even have to look for it. It's on the org mode website.
So let's just check. So org mode. Emacs.
Just search for org mode tutorials, actually. Right? And you see that one?
So this is orgmode.org.
Yeah.
Is where people should check for tutorials.
Yeah, I mean, I personally love them on that website, on Warg or org. They're just amazing over there. And if you start off at orgmode.org, you can also get to the tutorials from there. So if you see that thing, it says WORG. That's actually community written docs. Those are written by the community.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So
cool.
We got a lot done.
Yeah, I think that was very good. And lots of keystrokes. I have to start making me a cheat sheet.
Yeah, I think that'll be helpful. Also, I would suggest try doing your. Wow, it's extremely dark here suddenly. Try doing your to-dos in Emacs. That'll be your excuse to pick up. Like I remember last time when we spoke towards the end, we spoke about how we don't want to pay the cost of drop in productivity. Maybe this becomes your not even like your big fancy to-dos, but you can do your daily tiny bits of to-dos.
Yeah, could be work to-dos. Yeah, that's true for I will do that. Currently, I'm using hipster tool Notion for that.
Man, I gave Notion. I mean, I'm not okay. Notion's really good. I'm not gonna lie. It's a really good tool, but I just want something simpler, and I don't want yet another tool. I have one that does my to-dos, that does my dot file management. That also is something that's available inside of an editor that I use for coding. For me personally, context switches are very expensive in my head. And an optimization for me is I do all of this just directly inside of my editor, and it makes my life so much easier.
I totally get that. Too many apps in there. Yeah, but that was great. So yeah, I think we made it another time, Mudit.
Perfect.
Well
Was
done.
it also, I hope it wasn't 1 hour like last time, you know?
we're coming closer, but
Oh, okay.
But
We
yeah,
tried
thank
to be
you.
quick, everybody. I'm sorry.
Moody and I will figure out the next episode on the fly. Probably it will be in 2, 3, 4 weeks. I promise that I use org mode for my work to-dos now. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Mudit, and we see each other next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Stefan. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That went good, man.